Hey, what's up? It's been a while since I got on Periscope, so I figured I would give it a try. I've actually been spending a lot of time with Facebook live streaming lately. Since I started with Periscope, it feels a little like cheating. Actually, technically, I started with Meerkat. I think I was in the Lisbon airport in Portugal, and started meerkatting. I saw the whole meerkat movement starting to take off, and then we had meerkats pivot. I think it's a little late. I mean, I know this Blue Moon. It's their peach ale. It's good. The new Apple Watch. Man, I haven't even done a bracket. Sometimes I do a bracket. Sometimes I don't do a bracket. I'm not really, I don't follow basketball that closely, but my brackets are usually pretty good because, yes, I was just talking about that. I transitioned to Facebook Live. Big part of that is just because CNBC's got a big presence on Facebook, a little bit more engaged than Twitter. So if I do a daily live thing on Facebook and CNBC directs its audience, what do I bench? I don't know currently. Last time I was really seriously benching, I topped out around 235, but I weigh around right around 160, 155, 160, and I'm getting old, man. I'm going to be 40 next year, so I'm not trying to push a whole lot of weight these days. This right here, this is just my personal stream. CNBC is not sharing it or anything like that. I just jumped on. If I ignored engagement, etc., which one do I prefer? Just purely from a technical perspective, I enjoy the fact that Facebook's live streams stay live on their site for longer than 24 hours. I know Periscope did that to kind of constrain it and make it feel a little bit more, hey, London, it's really late over there. Man, it's like, you're burning the midnight oil. You must have had a lot of tea today. Thank you. Thanks for saying you enjoy my perspective in the morning. What was I talking about? Yeah, 2 a.m. Seriously. Hey, Chicago. Hey, Berlin. But, oh yeah, the experience. I enjoy the fact that Facebook's live stream records and sticks around for longer. If Periscope extends, that's probably a good idea. I'm sure that would cost them a whole lot of data center resources. Make America great again? I don't know. Did America really stop being great? I mean, compared to what? Like, whose greatness exceeded America's, like, in the past few years? I mean, like, in the 90s? In the 2000s? Did New Zealand surge past us? I don't know. I love New Zealand. Got friends in New Zealand. Not dissing New Zealand. But anyway. Thanks. Well, I try not to be too biased about anything. I try to keep an open mind. That's just, I guess, the journalist in me. Hello, London. Cheers. What are the investment and tech communities saying in private about Trump? Well, we've had some of them saying it publicly about Trump, but a bit more quietly, a bit more tacitly. I think in tech tends to skew liberal more, on the West Coast more than on the East Coast. And I think tech also tends to skew libertarian. So there are some conservatives in technology, but they tend to be... yeah, I'm on CNBC. Maybe are you watching CNBC? That's where you might have seen me before. I think those who aren't liberal, those who are conservative, are still pretty libertarian. They just want to let markets work. They just, they don't tend to be really prescriptive. Does the media really not see it? The more they talk Trump, the more... Oh, yeah. People see that. But what are you going to do? Trump is a phenomenon. When do I get my own show? I don't know. Do you think I deserve my own show? I'm not so sure. I don't know. This TV thing is hard. I like Carl. Am I famous? Do I like fame? No, I'm not famous. I'm a reporter, a host on CNBC, the Business Channel. This is my casual garb. I got my hoodie on. You know, I'm in for the night. But I always feel like if you got to ask somebody if they're famous, they're not really famous. Do I have an Apple Watch? I got one upstairs, but I stopped wearing it. The heart rate tracker doesn't work too well. Who's my favorite coworker? Man, I got a lot of great coworkers. I can't pick a favorite. You suck. Well, if you're talking to me, if I suck, then just go find another Periscope stream. Yeah. Kramer School, I love, he does his homework. So I tell you, Kramer, David Faber, his reporting is awesome. How many beers do I have per night? I don't usually have a beer. I'll often have a glass of wine. Andrew Ross Sorkin, he's really smart. I joke with him. Remember that old series In Living Color? They had this one skit, which in retrospect was a little off color and inappropriate, but about this family where everybody had multiple jobs. I joke with Sorkin that he's got all these jobs because he works for the New York Times, he works for CNBC, he's executive producing Billions, that series on Showtime. So he's got all the jobs. I do like East Coast a little better than West Coast just because of the job out here. We started Squawk Alley, which is a show on CNBC at 11 Eastern. After I moved to the East Coast, I really enjoy having that show. So the work balance, the flow is actually better here than it was on the West Coast. Next vacation destination, I'm going to Mexico. Yes, I did get Kayla to watch the Star Wars movies, episodes 4, 5, and 6. I'm not really subscribing to any podcasts, but yes, Kayla did watch Star Wars. I watched what's it called? That movie with Shelley Long that she said was her favorite. Will I be at Apple's event on March 21st? I probably will, actually. We were just talking about that today, whether I'm going to fly out. I think I will. I have not yet filled out a bracket. I think I still got a little bit of time, right? They're just doing the seeds. I just saw who the number 1 seeds were yesterday. No, I will not have to eat my tie because the iPhone did not go negative in the holiday quarter. But it was close. It was too close. No more bets. Do I have a Fitbit? No. What is my brand on here? Do you mean, I'm with CNBC, the business news channel, if that's your question. Troop Beverly Hills. Yes, that's the one. That's the one. Kayla's favorite movie. One of our senior producers, Shannon, also her favorite movie. She's the one who lent me Troop Beverly Hills. And actually, now that you mention it, Kayla still has to get me my Star Wars DVDs back. Yeah, I do lots of walking, but I carry my phone when I walk. I've got my phone all the time, and the chip in the motion chip in the iPhone actually measures your steps anyway, so I can still see how many steps I'm taking. Theme, topic, you mean of this, or I cover tech in general, but I'm just taking questions now. Yeah, Melissa Lee hasn't watched Star Wars. I can't be responsible. You know who else hasn't seen Star Wars? It was like Sarah Eisen or something. Oh, the Samsung S7. That is a sweet phone. Not much makes me makes me nervous going live on TV anymore. Hi to your wife. I hope she feels better. My wife was pregnant a couple times. We got a couple kids too, so I know how that can be. That's rough. Kramer has not changed that I've seen. Kramer, like I said, he does a lot of homework. I'm glad I don't have his job of having to actually put a stake in the ground and make bets, make recommendations every day. That's hard. You can be, I don't know what his batting average is, frankly, hits and misses. But I mean, if he were right 75% of the time, but wrong 25% of the time, he would still get dinged. I don't know. I don't know if it's. I live in the burbs, not in the city. Any black producers at CNBC? There are. Yeah, there are a few. I'm not saying the numbers are big. Uh, I wish they were bigger. How am I allowed to invest my money? Not in individual stocks. I can do index funds, I can do mutual funds, I can do Comcast stock. We have an employee stock purchase plan. I actually just started participating in that, but no individual stocks. What happened to all the guests that CNBC had on this year saying we're in recession? Yeah, it's funny how those people go away too. Yes, that's the same for Kramer. He's got a charitable trust that he invests with, but that's the charitable trust. A beer with Brian Sullivan, yeah, that would be fun. He's just like he is on TV. Um, am I still performing music? Not that often. I'll pick up a guitar when I can. I got one in the basement, but like times like now would be my only time. Usually, the wife and I are chilling at this hour, but she's out with the girls tonight, so I figured I'd switch on Periscope, hang with you guys a little bit. Twitter likely to improve May? You mean like in May? They got a lot of just basic product work to do. That can take a while. Am I going to write a book? Not anytime soon. Oh, MAUs. Autocorrect got you. I'm betting that was autocorrect's fault. I don't see any indication that their MAU trends are going to improve anytime soon. I was talking to Facebook's head of growth at Mobile World Congress a few weeks ago, and he made the interesting point about could I drink a better beer? I could, but I like Blue Moon. Man, I like it. What was I talking about? I just started thinking about beer. Yes, I would buy a Tesla if price were not a problem. And if I drove around more, I'd take the train. Who do I kick it with? My family, man. My family, coworkers sometimes. Oh yeah, MAUs. Facebook product guy. The actually head of growth, Javier Olivan, who I like to talk to every time I go to Barcelona. And he was saying that retention is one of the most important parts of growth. And that's been a problem for Twitter. People try it out, they leave. It's not sticky enough. You don't come in and feel like you need to stay. Facebook has this like people you're connected to in real life effect that once you get in there and it connects you to people and people sort of welcome you and make you feel like you're a part of something, they tend to retain better. Twitter, like 1 billion people have tried Twitter and most of them have churned off of it. They got to do something about that. Their monetization is fine. It's doing HTC Vive. Love it, love the Vive. I tried it out in Barcelona. South by Kayla's at South by Southwest actually. Who's the smartest guy on TV? I don't know. There's a bunch of smart people. Faber's smart. Leisman is smart. Kramer, of course, is smart in his own way. Lots of people smart in their own. Meg Terrell, brilliant on biotech and pharma. Yeah, I was talking about HTC Vive. It's the most amazing virtual reality experience I've had. I tried the latest version of Oculus. I tried the Vive. The Vive is cooler, but you got to put these sensors up, a couple of sensors on the walls to have the full Vive experience. I'm more of an Apple TV guy, but I've tried Amazon TV too. It's just kind of up to you, the ecosystem you like. The Vive, it's a little bit more expensive. It's more involved to set it up, but it's a very cool experience. I don't think the Vive will take off that fast. I'm actually I think VR is going to be bigger than niche, but I think Sony, because the PlayStation 4, you spend another, we don't know exactly how much it's going to be, but say $400 on top of the PlayStation 4, you get a VR experience. I think they've got a really good shot at being the biggest mass market impact. How did I learn business finance? Learn it on the job, man. Is Snapchat a fad? It's been out there a little bit too long to be a fad. It's got momentum now. It's more than a fad. I think the question is it a platform or is it a channel? If it's a platform, if people can build on top of it, if they can create a real business with momentum out of it, kind of like Facebook has by getting people to build cool experiences on top of what they have, then it'll have a bit more momentum. Right now, there's a chance that it's more of a channel where, yes, it's powerful, but it's hit driven. It's based on a hit feature that they put out. talking about Snapchat right now. It's based on a hit feature they put out. It's based on a surge in users, but it's not necessarily feeding itself. Yeah, I'm talking about Snapchat. Is it a platform or is it a channel? I'm not going to reserve a Tesla. I mean, man, that's first of all, that's a lot of money. Second of all, we just bought a car. We bought a Highlander, Toyota Highlander. I mean, we're a family with 2 young kids. It's got to be practical. I take the train into work. You know, I walk. I take the train. As much as I'd like a Tesla, I don't need a Tesla, and that's a lot. Before CNBC, I wrote about tech. I wrote for Fortune magazine. I edited for Business 2.0 magazine. I wrote for the San Jose Mercury News. I wrote for the Lexington Herald Leader. So I was an ink-stained wretch doing a lot of writing for a lot of years. Spent 14 years in Silicon Valley, most of that writing about technology. College, I went to DePauw University in Greencastle, Indiana. I just visited Greencastle a couple of weeks ago. Putnam County, middle of nowhere, but great place, liberal arts. My no tie revolution, that was Sandy Canold's idea. He's the executive producer of Squawk Box now. Purdue, all right, Indiana in the house. He's the executive producer of Squawk Box, and he said either tie and no jacket or jacket and no tie. You're a tech guy. Tech guys don't wear ties. You know, I was a print guy. I didn't wear a tie to work as a print guy, but I was coming to work in TV. And, you know, CNBC has wardrobe, and they had shirts and ties. And I was like, great, free ties. And he was like, no. And at first I was offended. I was like, you know, got these cool ties. I can't wear them. But he was right, and it just became a thing. And now everybody thinks it's like my rebellious streak, why I don't wear a tie. It's really just, it fits the California. I didn't wear one in California, so why not? Going to NYU, it's expensive. But prestigious. Congratulations. My advice would just be focus on the learning. I know that sounds silly, but not just in class. Get around smart people, whether they're in class with you, or they're professors, or they're people who come in to visit the class, and just form connections and learn whatever you can. I ran track for a hot minute, but not really. Not particularly athletic. Just like to stay in shape, actually. Thoughts on lack of diversity in tech? It's complicated. There's a pipeline problem, but there are cultural challenges. Like in the black community, there's a cultural challenge around valuing education, and we got to work on that. Is CNBC anti-conservative? No. Of all the news organizations where I've worked, CNBC is probably one of the more conservative. I don't know any programming languages, though I learned HTML and some CSS. It's been a long time, though. I missed a question in there that I was planning to answer. Sorry. Favorite sports to watch? I like watching football. Basketball is okay. I used to like watching tennis. Hockey is great in person, but I don't really enjoy it on TV. Boxing. Lately, I'm kind of fascinated by boxing. I'm like working boxing into my workout, hitting the heavy bag and whatnot. So that's cool. My most intense interview. Intense. Like an interview that got hostile. One of the Ballmer interviews might be at hockey playoffs. I guess I just feel like, let me think about that most intense interview question. Training path for hosts. No, CNBC, like all the shows are pretty much based out of New York. I used to be in California, and then I moved to the New York area about 2.5 years ago to start co-hosting Squawk Alley. BlackBerry turnaround working. I think BlackBerry has been pulled back from the brink. The company's not about to die anymore, but it remains to be seen whether it's a turnaround in the sense that it's going to go on a growth trajectory. John Chen's a smart guy, great enterprise chops, but the jury's still out on that long-term question. Clippers mascot. I don't know. Yes, Blue Moon. It's the peach stuff. The peach ale. It's good. Blue Moon. Artificial intelligence, yes, I think it is a good idea. I think I think the question is, can we do well enough at designing limitations around it? I think Isaac Asimov had it right, you know, about the rules governing robotics. CNBC is left-wing lib, and I know it. Um, no, I don't know that. I've got a lot of actually colleagues across the spectrum, so can't agree with you there. But if you want to think that, what can I do? Do I watch Game of Thrones? I watched it for a while and then stopped. Um, yeah. Who, whoa, who what? Is more equal than any other news broadcaster. I mean, I don't know. I don't know other news organizations like other broadcasters, so I'm not going to say one way or the other. I mean, clearly, um, some political networks skew one way more versus the other. I think, I think, if anything, there's a decent libertarian streak in uh, a lot of business news media that I know about. People really don't hew to a party line. Yeah, Rick Santelli. He was in New York today. They don't necessarily hew to a party line, Democratic or Republican. Does CNBC have complimentary donuts? No. Though Squawk Box has coffee uh, at SNY in Midtown, and they got some little pastries because it's so early in the morning when you got to go there. How closely tied are CNBC and MSNBC? Not at all, actually. They don't even report up to the same network head. So they both have NBC in them, but that's yes, Joe is just that snarky in real life. He's actually snarkier in real life. He because he doesn't have to worry about whether there are any kids in the room. He yeah, unplugged Joe is Joeier. Is Joeier than TV Joe, if you can believe that. Um, do I believe that ratings play a role in content? Uh, yeah. I mean, that ratings or in newspaper circulation, what you believe the viewer wants is always going to have some influence on what you do. Now, do you let it dictate everything that you do? The best news organizations do not. But you're always influenced by, oh, well, people are interested in that. That factors into, if people are interested in something, if people most starstruck interview. In life, not TV, Steve Jobs. Yeah, Steve Jobs. I was probably the most starstruck. Mm. Outside of that, I never interviewed Elon Musk, so I couldn't say Elon Musk. Um, who else? Rosario Dawson. That was cool. I never interviewed Buffett. I didn't see that on Charlie Rose. IoT winners in supply chain. Hard to say. Are we relying on technology too much? Always. Shook Steve's hand. Maybe. Steve wasn't big on touching people. He didn't want to shake your hand, I think, or get too close to you because he didn't want to get germs. Larry Ellison's like that too, from what I hear. Apple FBI. Yeah, Rosario from Daredevil. I got to be careful about sharing too many personal thoughts on Apple FBI because we're covering it. But my thinking on it has definitely developed over time as we've done more and more coverage. I think there's an important question of whether there can be or needs to be some kind of policy where companies keep encryption keys that can give government access under certain extreme situations to information that might be locked down on someone's device. I asked Apple's lawyer about that today. I wonder if that's an area where some of the tech industry will be willing to compromise. Because, think about it, it could be, just as it could be dangerous if Apple hacks its own OS to make it potentially vulnerable, not just to governments being able to break in, but others being able to capture that method and compromise the basic software and devices that we all carry that hold all of our personal information. It could also be dangerous if there is a method of communication that is, for all intents and purposes, unbreakable even under court order. That opens up big possibilities for communications. Any repercussions from the CNBC debate? Good question. Management would know that better than I would. I guess one would wonder what viewers' impressions were longer term of CNBC versus the competition. I don't have access to that data, so I don't know. I do know everybody went on, who was involved with the debate, went on to do their job right after that, just like they had before. So Apple can just say screw a federal warrant. Well, I think that's a question going forward. I think it's not that Apple can say screw a federal warrant. That's not the question. Because right now, if Apple actually has data, like on its servers, in iCloud, for instance, that the feds want access to, I'm at home, the feds want access to, and they come with a court order, Apple says they give them access. And that's not what's at question here. What's at question is something that's on your device that is made by Apple, but it's your device. Apple doesn't actually have that data in its possession. Is Apple required to create a tool that does not exist that would allow the federal government to access your property under a court order? That the law is just not that clear on that. Kind of the master key for every locked door to every home, though in a way any locksmith could get into your home in 5 minutes, the way things are right now. Do any other CNBC reporters Periscope? Kramer has been known to Periscope. I don't know if anybody else does it regularly. I don't know. I like to experiment. Do I think John Ledger looks like the lead singer of Queensryche? I had never considered that before. I'll have to take a look. Santelli on Periscope? Man, that would be something, wouldn't it? True. It is a court order, not a warrant. I was wrong. Yeah. The difference in wiretapping here is it's just not possible in the same way in encrypted streams. That's the issue between the government and Facebook. With WhatsApp right now, they're actually questioning whether to press harder on Facebook WhatsApp because they want access to what's going on there. That's also an encrypted channel. So, but with the Apple FBI thing, it's a question of, can you force a company to make software to help you break into their customers' devices? Was 60 Minutes good? I'm behind on a bunch of stuff. I often watch it after. Is Periscope disrupting network news? No, not yet. But it has the potential to, and Facebook live streaming, all that. So that's why I'm doing this, to understand it better. Santelli's not an act, though I will say he's a much nicer guy than he comes across on TV. Complete, nice, class guy when you're hanging out with him. He's really intense on TV. He's more chummy in person. You'd want to have a beer with him. To Rick Santelli. What do I expect? Yes, he is intelligent. Pretty much what we've heard already. New iPad, smaller phone, Apple Watch straps. Minority fast money trader? I don't know. That's an interesting question. I don't know. Santelli and Leisman actually get along? I was in a van with the two of them and Sorkin and a few other people uh, after the White House Correspondents' Dinner like 3 years ago, and they go at each other like brothers, like brothers who are close in age. So do they get along? I don't know. I mean, I think they enjoy each other in a way, but they also enjoy getting under each other's skin. That's what I think. Worst moment on air. Ah, man. My worst moment on air was so bad I don't want to think about it. But I'll just say my worst moments, just remind me how important it is to be prepared. Um, and it's been a while since I really felt like I was out there. Um, iPhone taking away the headphone jack, I'm really wary about it. I'm trying to think, how would that be okay? Like maybe if they had an adapter, like a lightning adapter, where you can plug it into your headphones that are maybe old school. Ever had to wing? Oh, we wing it all the time. We wing it all the time. But in order to wing stuff well, particularly when there's news going on, you have to have done your homework in order to wing it well. And that's the lesson, is to just always be reading, be thinking about the subject matter, um, broadly. Also be aware of what's going on in the world in case the thing that blindsides you, the thing that comes up that you didn't expect, is something that's not exactly on your beat. Most important burgeoning technology. I'm tempted to say virtual reality, but I'm not convinced that that's actually true. That's getting a lot of attention right now. I'm not sure how important it is. Apple's making their headsets wireless, sure. Uh, how does CNBC find such smart hosts? Um, I think my boss does a good job. I mean, not speaking of myself specifically, but I look at some of the hires that he's made over the years. Meg Terrell, I think, is just brilliant um, on pharma and biotech. Talks about it like she's talking about what she had for lunch. Just so conversant in it. How much swag does Dom Chu have? Dom's a lot of fun. Whenever I'm in Inglewood Cliffs at headquarters, I try to go there in the afternoons. I like to come down to the main newsroom and just chat with Dom. Is Alexa taking Siri's lunch? I don't know. I'm not into Alexa yet, but I hear lots of people saying good things about it. I use Siri occasionally, usually to set reminders, set alarms, things like that. Yeah, Dom, man, on breaking news, he just has such a quick mind. He's able to hit subject after subject after subject, and that's a prime example, I think, of what I was saying before about doing your homework. He's so well read about a variety of subjects. When something comes up, he's able to just sort of jump in, give the background, jump out. Does Maria regret moving to Fox? I have not talked to Maria since she moved to Fox, so I don't know. Um, but of course, we wish her well. Ever watch Bloomberg West? Occasionally, I'll catch something that they've done, kind of recorded or online. But no, I don't catch it live. It's just sort of, we're on air at the same time, so I'm doing my work and don't get to watch it off mute. Shark Tank fan? Yes, I have caught a few episodes, but yes, I do like Shark Tank. Favorite shark? Mark Cuban. Apple Music on Android? Yes, that's a long-term thing. Why don't I talk Twitter? We talked a little about Twitter. Also smart, Becky, Kayla, and Kelly. Yes, all three. Very different personalities, all great, all smart. Why doesn't CNBC do round-the-clock financial broadcasting like Bloomberg? CNBC actually has multiple global faces, so there's CNBC India, there's CNBC Europe, CNBC Asia. So Benioff, smart guy, very good at getting news out that he wants. Newsroom on HBO, similarities to real life. Yeah, like all the software that they used in the newsroom on Newsroom was actually software that gets used in Newsroom. So I thought it was almost too close to real. Favorite food? I love Indian food. Do I stay on top of Engadget? I've turned into more of a Verge guy lately. Will Salesforce be sold? I think if it was gonna be, it probably, well, anytime soon, it probably would have happened already. Oil 25 or 50. I'm just guessing here, so don't take this as anything. I would say 50 before 25 at this point. Favorite business books? I read the Wall Street Journal Guide to Money and Investing when I first wanted to get into business reporting. Simple, but good. Well, folks, thank you for joining me on this Periscope. It had been a long time. Favorite movie? Usual Suspects. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to finish this beer. It's been a great scope. It's been a long time. I wanted to show Periscope some love again. I'm still going to do the Facebook live broadcasts. Do it every day in the morning, 10:25 Eastern Time, 7:25 Pacific. So those of you who want to jump on Facebook, I will see you then as well. Have a good night.